actually started photography when I was in high school, working on a yearbook staff, went into the Army, was a photographer there for 3 years, and then went into aerospace, working on Apollo and Mercury programs, doing industrial photography. And from that I went into the zoo. So a lot of people always wanted to know what my background was on animals. And I said really it was just learning about them. My background was being a photographer. I don't consider myself a wildlife photographer, but I've always considered that it's captive animal photography. And so trying to show them in as much of a natural setting as possible, learning a little bit about the behavior so you can kind of anticipate. Sometimes when I've been with other photographers, I'll make a move and they'll say, how did you know to get there? And so it's just an experience of knowing the animals and really, observing, paying attention to them, and just not kind of shooting blind. When I first started working in photography, I was working with old 4x5 view cameras, then press cameras, and right on through the 35mm cameras up to digital today. You don't need a lot of equipment. I always tell people sometimes when I'm doing workshops, 3 lenses. Usually you're going to have the widest lens that you should have, kind of a normal zoom, and then whether the longest telephoto. But it does take a variety of different lenses. You want to be able to get good sharp pictures. If you have a tripod, that's always going to be an advantage. Sometimes it's difficult when you're working around people at the zoo to have a tripod, and so then you may very well go to a monopod, which is one little stick down from the camera, but anything to stabilize it. Today you have the lenses that have vibration reduction, and that really is a great help. I have a camera lens here, pretty big, pretty bulky and everything, and yet I can handhold that, go onto the grounds at the zoo, and really get some very sharp pictures. If you were to come to a zoo, basically any of the major zoos in the United States, and just in a day's time, you could probably see more variety of animals from different continents, different parts of the world, just in one day. Unless you're really there to get pictures of a specific animal, you can be pretty lucky. You can walk around, you watch, you look for where the animals are behaving, doing something of interest. If the animals aren't doing anything, you move on to an area where the animals are doing something. So it really helps a lot. And it gives you that opportunity of taking those close-ups and really getting unique pictures in the zoo that you might spend months and months trying to get if you were out in the wild somewhere. Things are changing in our environment. And to me, the photographer can bring about an awareness of understanding, an appreciation. We know that some of these animals will disappear, they won't be around anymore. There are animals that I've taken pictures of that no longer exist. I was very much involved with the California Condor program, where they were down to something like 18 birds that were alive. It was actually predicted that by 1995 they would have no longer existed. And because of the program that the number of zoos in the United States had, they have actually brought that back, and now there's hundreds of these animals in the wild. And that's real satisfying to be a part of that.